Grand Rising Soul Fam. Today I am coming on and I am sharing from the Tao Oracle by Ma Deva Padma. Today reflecting, contemplating on Gene Key 6, which is the shadow of conflict, the gift of diplomacy in the city or the divine expression of peace. This is the hexagram of conflict. You can see this image there. And a couple of keywords: will to power, hostility, jealousy, stubbornness, aggression, fear, competitiveness, and controversy. So here we go. Here's what it says. Conflict is fundamentally a clash of wills, and the clash arises first of all within each of the combatants. When an individual or group feels strongly about the rightness of an idea, a proposal, or a certain way of doing things, it's easy to lose sight of a bigger picture, where each vantage point offers a unique and valuable perspective. And when opposing sides of a conflict get locked into their positions, both lose the perspective that's needed to come to a resolution. In fact, the atmosphere can become so overheated and tense that each party begins to see the struggle as a matter of life and death. The first casualty of such a clash is to the potential that lies within each of us to experience ourselves as an integral part of the whole, vast enough to embrace a 360-degree perspective, and strong enough to step out of the fight or flight duality. There's always a third option, which involves neither surrendering one's own deeply felt truth nor forcing an unwilling other to submit to one's own desire. But this third option requires that the clenched fist be relaxed into an open hand, and that the heart and mind be kept open. It only needs one of the combatants to step out of the battlefield in order to change the whole scenario, not by giving in or retreating to plan a more cunning strategy, but by taking the walk up the hill to higher ground where the view is all-encompassing. Both energy and vision are contagious, whether the contagion is defensiveness, anger, and fear, or the understanding that each of us is a unique and treasured member of a greater whole. Which kind of contagion we spread is a choice that's available to all of us, all of the time. The first step on that walk up the hill is to take a step back from the present imbroglio in order to cool down. Fundamentally, the task begins with oneself. Ask first, without placing blame, how the conflict got started. Look for the root of the strife within your own self and your own agenda, and shift the focus away from any preoccupation you might have with the other. Each of us has learned all kinds of survival techniques in a world that reveres the powerful and those who take dynamic, aggressive action, winners, in a word. But too often, winners need losers, and nobody wants to be one of those. What are you afraid of losing at the beginning of this affair? And have you made a choice to follow that fear rather than a sense of your own strength and value? By looking within to identify your own investments in a conflict, you can learn much about yourself and your fears and vulnerabilities. By seeing them clearly, you gain the humility to forgive and be forgiven, the strength to take responsibility for your weaknesses, and compassion for the vulnerabilities of others. So now we're going to look at the 6 lines on how this energy might be showing up in our lives. You may feel a resonant to one, or maybe 2, or maybe all of them. Bottom line. Sometimes the best thing to do is to drop out of a conflict before it even begins. If it's too late for that, the next best thing can be to drop out of it as soon as it has started. One thing about the will to power, which lies at the root of all conflicts, if you don't give your power away, nobody can take it from you. When you keep your power to yourself, that's the end of the game. Line 2. It's always the ego that gets provoked. The authentic self knows exactly who it is and where it stands. And the old saying is true, that in waging our battles, we tend to become like our enemies. You don't want that to happen, do you? Line 3. That always reminds me of that quote too by Robert Edward Grant, or so many people have said it, but everything you judge will be reflected outside of you until you stop judging it. Line 3. Opening up to the possibility of unification helps remove the blinkers that keep your vision limited and makes it possible for old rigidities to give way to flexibility. By doing this homework of self-work, greater understanding is possible. Self-respect increases, and a more spontaneous approach to daily life begins. line 4. Every no-win situation or conflict contains the hidden potential for a win-win outcome that can enrich all involved. Those who are in a position to actually defeat their opponents have a special responsibility and a unique opportunity to look for the win-win solution that brings long-term benefits, rather than settling for a taste of victory that's bound to be momentary. Line 5. Don't even attempt starting anything new until the present conflict is resolved. Like removing a splinter from your thumb, it's painful but necessary in order to prevent further harm. If there's one available, it's a good time to bring in an unbiased mediator who may be able to shed light on areas of unclarity. And top line, line 6. When things reach a boiling point, the flame underneath the pot doesn't magically go out by itself. However difficult it may seem, it's essential to work steadily towards resolution. In the beginning, it feels galling to the ego because the ego hates nothing more than the appearance of vulnerability. But in the end, comfortable clothes are a lot less painful than a suit of armor. There you have it. Conflict. Sending you so much love and peace. Namaste.